it's like awkward.
Ooh.
It's just really awkward to watch.
Oh,
imagine someone feeding you an olive in a public place.
Hello and welcome to the Steele Team podcast with me, Heather Steele. Today I'm joined by Georgina Blaskey and Mia Luckie. Hi everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. The sun's out. Spring is in the air.
It's here.
Finally. Yeah.
What did you get up to this weekend, Georgina? I know it's the end of the Easter holidays.
Yeah, end of the Easter holidays-ish. Yeah, back to school today. So lots of kind of sorting out everyone to get ready mentally, physically, emotionally back into school. So actually quite a quiet weekend. Yeah, not doing too much, but lots of time spent outside, sorting out the garden a bit, tidying it all up. Yeah, it's been a scene of domesticity.
Oh, sounds idyllic.
Yeah.
Do you get that like back to school vibes in that short-term break, or is that more after the summer?
Well, I wouldn't say it was like a short-term break. They were off for about 3.5 weeks. So it's felt really long.
But some kids seem to still be off today and this week as well, because it's sort of the third week for me where the trains are not quite as busy, but there are lots of kids.
It is a weird, do you know what, the Easter holidays, it's the weirdest one. It just seems to drag on and everything's staggered. But yeah, I think most are back by like Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, if not, they should be.
Yeah.
Mia, how about you?
I felt like my weekend was quite busy, but not necessarily doing anything recommendationable or anything like that. But I went to Cirencester and we did our wedding food tasting.
That's exciting.
Which was really, really fun. It actually probably is one of the best days of my life, actually.
That's did it make it suddenly feel like it's real and it's close?
Yeah, really real.
When are you getting married again?
18th of August this year.
That's so soon though, really, isn't it?
But we just drank champagne and tried every single thing on the menu and it was like glorious.
So did you come away with some definite, like, that's what we're having?
Well, it was quite hard to even say like no to anything, to be honest. So we've got to sort of make the decision this week. But Relish Catering are doing our food and it was just, it all like was blown out the park. It was amazing. Yeah, so did that on Saturday, then came back to London, just went to the pub Saturday evening, and then did a bit of shopping yesterday, and that was about it. Yeah.
Where did you go shopping?
I actually went to, it's called the Ashford Outlet.
Oh yeah.
But I got these Levi trousers that I'm jeans that wear now. Levi original 501s for 45 quid.
That's amazing.
Isn't that unreal?
Yeah.
They're like £110 normally.
That's amazing.
And then the shop, when you go in, because some outlets, I know Bistos definitely kind of upped its game with, you kind of walk in and the shops are fitted out beautifully, which wasn't the case kind of 10 years ago when these places sort of popped up. Is it lovely there when you walk around?
Yeah, they've definitely like made an effort in it being a proper day out. So it's like pretty, and it's actually dog friendly as well, which I thought was kind of funny. So there's like literally dogs everywhere.
Well, yeah, is it one of those where it's just got the wide pedestrian bits down the middle?
It was way bigger than I was expecting, but it was nice. It was a nice little pottering about Sunday, and then came back to London and just did loads of organising ready for the week ahead.
I know, I had an organising weekend as well. I don't know why. Maybe everyone's feeling those back to school
vibes
by accident. Yeah,
and also because we've got all these long weekends coming up, and obviously we just had Easter, I wonder whether all the kind of gatherings and get-togethers get pushed into those weekends. So when you finally have a kind of normal weekend, which is only 2 days instead of 3, you almost, I don't know, maybe don't book things up because you've got all of those other things to come.
Yeah, I feel this week I've got my sister staying with me during the week because she's got a conference in Brighton, and then she leaves, and about an hour later I've got 2 friends and their giant dog coming to stay. So, which will be fun, but yeah, it definitely feels like a full-on sort of 7 days. Not that any of them are difficult or anything. But
but like having to turn the bedroom around.
Exactly, all those little things, and just sort of making sure it's like extra tidy in between all those stages.
Nice.
Yeah, milk in the fridge, making sure you've got your tea and coffee in stock.
Yeah, I always feel like when you have a guest to stay, you try and be prepared so much, and then there's always one question. Someone asks for something, and you're like, I don't have that one. It's so annoying. I've tried so hard.
I know, there's always something, but no, or just trying to remember people's different allergies or like quirks and things.
What milk they drink.
Yeah. If in doubt, oat and normal, I think.
But I am looking forward to the London Marathon this weekend.
Yes, I know. I always forget it's on, and then end up like being drawn into watching some of it on TV. That is.
Oh, you don't go down?
No, I haven't. I think I've accidentally seen some of it in years past, but
where you've you've gone somewhere and you're like, the road's closed,
Yeah.
I can't
I
get
might as
through.
well
I might as well watch it.
Or certainly the Brighton Marathon, because you can't get down onto the seafront in a car, but I can walk there quite easily, so it's nice to like watch everyone doing it. That happened a few weeks ago. But will you be going to cheer anyone on?
Yeah, I go every year. I love it. I think even if I don't really know, if I've not got a close connection to someone running, I still really enjoy it. I actually always cry.
Oh, me too. I was about to say the same. I get really like emotional.
Yeah. When people are running past and they've got their names on there, so I start shouting their names out. It's so overwhelming.
Or if they've got kind of running this for mum or something like that, that's always really moving.
I think it's
it?
amazing.
Yeah.
But I do know a lot of friends this year actually. And Daisy Reed, our social media manager, is in the marathon this year, so I'll be definitely going down to support
Have
her.
you got a particular spot that you think is good to head to?
I often go to Greenwich right at the start just to see it all kick off.
Yeah.
And then I always go to Canary Wharf afterwards, and I forget what it's called, that little square, but where you go under the shopping centre and out
Canada
into
Square?
Yes, that's it, into the middle.
Yeah.
That's the best spot, I think, because it's got a really good Aperol bar there.
I was going to say there's so many places along the river where you could like pop for a drink and then come back or sort of watch it from the bars.
For me, it's a bar crawling day, absolutely.
I feel this should have been a feature.
I did get quite a few press releases like where to drink along the or eat.
It's strange, isn't it, watching people push themselves to their physical fitness limit while you're sitting there going, another bottle of rosé.
I suppose you'll get extra enthusiastic with your cheers as the day goes on, which is what everyone needs, especially towards the end of the day if they're still running.
Yeah.
Will you be watching it, Georgina?
I've gone in the past, actually. My brother-in-law, the first time I went, my brother-in-law ran it, and it was his first time, and we went to the end at Buckingham Palace and then met up with him at Horse Guards Parade. And I found that really moving because by the end people they're pretty broken, they're exhausted, and some people are related and others are almost being carried over. The blisters have kicked in, just completely broken. And but then when you see them come together with their friends and family, and that a moment of elation, it's like, the beginning of Love Actually when Hugh Grant's talking about Heathrow Airport. It's kind of a bit like that, even though they only saw them in the morning. It's like they've gone through this life experience and suddenly they're a changed person. And it is just so moving. Wow. I just do. Yeah, I quite like that bit, but it's a very busy bit to go and watch at because obviously everyone's there for the end. And I love watching the people in fancy dress.
Yes, some of them I'm like, how have you done that?
Yeah, I know.
Because I imagine if the weather stays like this, it'll be quite
warm.
Be quite
warm this weekend. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be too hot, but do you remember 2 years ago when there was, I think Lewis Malpass, Lou's husband, ran in it, and it was like
sweltering,
crazy weather. Like, I don't know how anyone did that, even without a costume on, to be perfectly honest. It looked painful. There are people dropping down on the tube and things afterwards because of it.
Oh gosh, poor things. Anyway, hopefully that won't happen
this year
again. No. Georgina, have you been watching or reading anything recently?
Oh, well, I started last week this new show on Netflix, which you may have heard of, called Obsession.
Yes.
So I hadn't heard of it at all, and I was on the tube, and where they have the kind of digital advertising boards going up the escalator, and it was this whole thing, just obsession, the whole way up, all these faces that I recognise from other TV shows. So it's got Charlie Murphy, who played Anna in Happy Valley.
Oh, of course.
So the victim who becomes the police officer, and then Richard Armitage from The Stranger.
Of course.
Adira Varma,
yes,
who I can't think what she's been in, but I just knew her.
She's on the stage a lot.
Yeah, I've seen her on the stage at the Old Vic, but I definitely have seen her in another TV show. Anyway, so it's a retelling of Damage, which was a film with Jeremy Irons and Juliette Binoche back in like the early 90s, and it's so weird. It's just so weird in a not necessarily good way. Like, the critics have panned it and said this is so awkward. It's meant to be about, obviously, obsession, but an old guy having an affair with a younger woman who is engaged to his son.
Yes, that's it.
This is ringing a bell now. Okay.
And it has these incredibly intense, I don't want to use the word steamy because I'm not sure they are. They're slightly robotic sex encounters. And it's like awkward. Ooh. It's just really awkward to watch, and yet it's kind of almost nearly there. It's almost brilliant.
So is the chemistry off then?
I don't know if it's the chemistry. It's just there's a lot of his bum, and then you see his willy, and then there's kind of the first sex scene. They just have sex, and he walks into this flat, they have sex, they don't even speak. I think she says yes at one point and then he leaves. It's just quite, I don't know, it's better when it's Jeremy Irons and a French actress and it's sort of all set in Paris and it just feels different. I can't quite work it out.
Oh, weird.
I've watched one and I think where I'm struggling is I'm not really understanding the motivation behind it. Why would you sleep with your son's fiancée?
Yeah.
And he knows it's his son's girlfriend. He knows who she is. It's not like it's a coincidence and suddenly he finds out, oh my God, that's bad. It's all kind of, the information's all out there. So I don't get it.
And you don't get this like feel of like irresistibleness, like temptation, and that's why it's happening, because it's not filmed like that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't sound like there's that huge attraction there that's making it.
No, it just feels really forced. There's this early scene where they first meet and they exchange a couple of words and then he puts an olive in her mouth, and they're at a party in the Houses of Parliament, a drinks party, and he puts this olive in her mouth, and it's so bizarre and uncomfortable, and maybe that's the point.
Yeah, I was going to say,
but I just didn't feel any sexual chemistry. I was just like, oh my God, that's so weird. Like, imagine someone feeding you an olive in a public place, like
who you've just met,
who you know is your boyfriend's dad. Like the whole thing.
That is weird.
It's just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, and it's only 4 episodes, so I will have to watch it.
That's a shame, because what was that really good Netflix one that had Sienna Miller in last year that was almost like...
Oh, yeah.
What was that called?
Anatomy of a Scandal?
Yeah, because that was like 4 episodes or so, wasn't it? And quite pacey and obviously centred around attraction and affairs and things. This sounds like maybe it was jumping on the bandwagon but hasn't quite hit the mark.
Sexy version,
Yeah, it's filmed beautifully. The sets and the lighting and the kind of direction and all of that is great, and there are scenes where you see them as a family. The sex scenes aside, actually the rest of it is really good.
Okay.
And the locations are really cool. Like they've got this London pad which is amazing. Obviously I love watching cool interiors on TV, and then they've got this gorgeous traditional country home. So the way that they portray their lives through all these other indicators it is really well done, and those scenes are fine. It's just the sex scenes are a bit wooden.
Oh dear.
Okay, yeah.
I'm still going to watch it, I think.
I'm
intrigued even more now.
I know what you mean.
Well, I'm hoping maybe episode 2 or 3 will be better.
That's
true.
Keep watching. Or at least give it another chance.
Yeah.
Maya, have you seen anything or read anything recently?
Okay, so yes, actually, Callum and I binged the entire series yesterday. We watched Beef.
I started watching that last night. We watched 4, went to bed really late because similarly...
Stop watching.
It's really good.
It's really good.
So talk us through the plot.
So I don't want to say start to finish the entire plot because I don't want to give anything away, but definitely the first, this isn't a spoiler to say that there is this road rage incident that happens between 2 people, and then their lives become like so intertwined because they, for some reason, all these bad things one after the other keep happening by their own demise. Like it is their fault, and they're kind of addicted to doing bad things, I guess.
It's kind of a bit revengey, aren't they? They're
Very
both
revenge.
Trying to like get one over on the other once they've worked out who each other are. But then they still keep fucking their own lives.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, if you watch all the way to the end episode, just kind of blew my mind, to be honest. I'm
Okay, that's good to know.
It is intense. Yeah.
Really? I love how each episode ends, because it's always like a little bit of a cliffhanger or a little bit of a situation where you're like, oh, okay, wasn't expecting that to happen.
No.
Each song at the end of each episode as well seems to hark back to 14-year-old me and my iPod shuffle as well. Every time I'm like, hey, they're playing Incubus. So I don't know why they've chosen that soundtrack, but I'm enjoying it very much. But no, the acting's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, the main woman in it, I don't recognise her from anything else.
Ali Wong.
Oh, but she's great.
Yeah, she's really, really good.
And the edit, I think, is fantastic as well. It's really modern and cool.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Where's it set?
LA.
Yeah.
Where can I find it?
Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think it's 10 episodes, isn't it? Yeah, like I said, I think they're all about 35, 40 minutes. I really wanted to watch it because lots of TV critics in America who I really, really like have been bigging it up for the last week. So I was like, okay, cool, right, I'm going to watch it on Sunday. But yeah, I only meant to watch like 1 or 2 and got very quickly drawn into it.
For sure.
But there's so many different twists, like, family dynamics, sort of I think she's Japanese and he's Korean, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot, and they're in America, so there's a lot of dynamics there as well. He's got parents back in Korea who he's trying to help out. So yeah, there's lots of different things at play. But no, I would definitely recommend. And yeah, now you said the last episode is amazing.
My brain just went a bit poof, like it was just, I was like, really?
Oh wow,
this is where we're going with this.
Cool, sign me. I'll probably have finished it by tomorrow night then.
Yeah.
I basically needed something to break up Succession because I've just been waiting every Monday for it. It's Monday today, so we haven't seen the episode since the big thing happened last week. But I'm very intrigued to see where that's going to go. Are you up to speed as well?
I'm up to speed, yes.
Amazing.
God, it's brilliant.
It's good. Can't wait. You've got a film to recommend,
I
Georgina.
do. Talking about watching something and going, I wasn't expecting it to go there. What the? I watched Triangle of Sadness.
Oh, I really want to see that. I meant to see it at the cinema, didn't quite get around to it, but interested to hear what you think.
Hadn't heard of it, wasn't on my radar when it came out the cinema or anything. And then two very different people recommended it to me. So scrolling through TV on Friday, it's Friday night, I decided to watch it and it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's a little bit like Everything Everywhere All at Once, but not quite as far out.
Yeah.
There feels more of a narrative. The only name in it that I knew was Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Everyone else feels like not necessarily an unknown, because there are lots of people of different ages, so I'm sure there's lots of people who've done lots of things, but they were new to me. And the opening scene was so funny, and then it just kept getting funnier but different, and then it would go, and it just keeps taking you in little right angles all the way through this journey of events, and it touches on things like modelling, the fashion industry, male models, female models. Then it suddenly goes into influencer world and kind of the mystique that presents, and the sort of the glossy version, but what it's actually like living it, and how much money you're making or not, and what you're portraying as opposed to the reality. But then it goes into wealth, and it basically you'd see it in the trailer, but they're on this not celebrity cruise, very rich people's cruise, and the way that very wealthy people are portrayed, by the end of it you would have no interest in ever becoming one of those people.
Wow.
And it's absolutely hilarious and brilliantly acted, very interesting original script. It felt really fresh and quite clever at the end, that it leaves you with a moral question.
Interesting.
And I think it would be hard not to come out firmly on one side having watched it.
Do you know the girl who, the main character,
Yes.
sadly died after it wrapped?
Really? The one who plays the young woman?
Yeah.
What from?
Sepsis, I think.
What?
Yeah, really sad.
Oh my
But I think that's
gosh.
another reason why it wasn't really as heavily promoted as it could have been, because she wasn't really there to do any red carpet things or anything, which is really, really sad, because I haven't
she's
seen it, but
amazing
apparently,
in it.
again, like I was thinking that when you said at the beginning about these young unknowns, but I think, she was relatively unknown, but was really good in this, and people were really excited about where her career was going to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sorry to be the
No,
bearer
that's
of bad
so
news.
interesting. I mean, she looks like a kind of young Helena Christensen in it.
Yeah.
She's got, it's an amazing performance.
Yeah.
Hello, what have you been watching, reading, listening to?
So I haven't, apart from, Beef and Succession, I've mainly just been reading, which has been great. I feel like this year, I didn't really mean to, but I was just very much like, I want to do more reading. So I think I've read about 10 books so far this year. And some of them have been quite chunky, but I've been like really getting into the zone with it. But the one I'm reading at the moment, which is obviously a very old book and most people might have read it, is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which I'd never read before. Have you read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really enjoying it. About halfway through. I started it on Friday night, but
and you're halfway through.
Yeah, that's what
it is like this thick.
It's like 800 pages.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I had quite a relaxed weekend. I actually took it. I was dog sitting on Saturday, and we went and sat on the beach, and I read for 2 hours there. So I feel like I really got in the zone. But it's such a gripping book. I didn't know anything about it. But it's been out quite a long time, but enough time's passed that I just didn't really know what it was about. Knew I wanted to read it because I read The Secret History, which was her other book that did really well. I think last November I read that in a whole weekend, even though, again, it's about 700 pages, because I was just so gripped by her writing and her characters. And yeah, I'm enjoying this just as much. It's set, I think it's set in like 2003, and it basically follows a 13-year-old called Theo and his relationship with his mother, and how that changes after a certain incident happens very early on in the book. But I have no idea what it's about, where it's going, how it's going to end. I know it was a film with Nicole Kidman a few years ago, which everyone thought was dreadful. But
yeah, that's when you said it. That's what I know of it. Because
and I can
pitch. Is it Aaron Eckhart?
Was he in it as
him
well?
as an adult.
I see, because I haven't got to adult Theo yet. He's about 15, 16 in the book at the moment.
Are you in Vegas yet?
I'm in Vegas, which is making me want to go to Las Vegas, even though he's not making it sound great. But I've been a couple of times, I'm like, oh, I want to go back, actually. Actually, Beef as well had Las Vegas in last night. So I'm like, maybe I could go to Vegas for a weekend. But no, I'm really, really enjoying that. But I also read another really good book last week called Kick the Latch by Catherine Scanlon, which is a really cool, very short novel. The author interviewed this, I think she was 80-something-year-old woman who lived in America and had worked as a horse trainer for her entire life. And then she sort of interviewed her over a couple of years and then turned it into this novel, which was just loads of really, really short chapters that were all in the first person. But it is fiction, but it's based on the interviews. But it reads like a sort of non-fiction account, which sounds a bit boring, but it's absolutely fascinating. It's just like a real quick insight into someone's fascinating life from when they were a girl up until they were 80 odd. Really, really interesting.
Especially if that's not a world you know, or something that you've grown up with.
Really interesting. It's like it doesn't flinch away from like the hardships of that kind of career, especially as a young woman in a very male dominated industry, especially back in like the 60s as well. But no, really would recommend that.
Putting me to
We've
shame.
been going on.
I don't think I can even get through one book in a year. I'm embarrassed.
I'm just no, don't be. No, I think I commute, so on the way back I try and like get stuck into a book. But also, I've had a couple of like lazier weekends recently where I basically just get up early, make a giant vat of coffee, and then sit in bed reading. So
that does sound
do you know what? That's interesting, because that's become my favourite time to read now. At the weekend, wake up, and sometimes I wake up at kind of 6:30 or 7, like quite early, and I just reach over for my book, and that's become the best time to read, because at night I sort of read about 2 minutes and then I'm out.
Same.
And I don't have a commute because I cycle, so I can't obviously read then. But I just finished at the weekend Cleopatra and Frank, or Cleo and Frank. Can't remember which
Cleopatra and
way
Frankenstein.
Maybe that's the one by Coco Mellors. Which it was one of the best books I have read for such a long time.
So many people it came out like 2 years ago, but I think it's come out in paperback recently, and since then so many people I know have read it and said it's really good.
I feel like it's suddenly gained momentum, or certainly in my world, I wasn't really aware of it. And it's such a page turner, and it's a really pacey, fun, sad, it's got everything you need. Read. So I really enjoyed that. If people are after something not as heavy as the Goldfinch, not as long, shorter, punchier. It's a good one.
Actually, on that note, I will very quickly mention Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld, which, if you want to borrow it, I've got a spare copy. But she is so good. It's really pacey. It's basically about a TV script writer who works for like a version of like Saturday Night Live, and she's one of the writers, and she writes a skit about the fact that all the male writers are suddenly like getting with the female stars who come on the show and getting married, and she writes a skit about how can these guys punch up and end up like getting these amazing women, but the reverse never happens. So she writes this skit for that, and my favourite bit actually is the beginning, where it runs through an entire week of what it's like to work at one of those shows. So from the pitch meeting on the Monday all the way up until the after parties after the Saturday night show, which was like so good and such a good insight into how those things work. But without giving too much away, there's a switch midway through where she's writing these scripts and pitches for a male star who's coming onto the show that week as the guest host, and there's a spark between them, and it goes from there. But no, it's really, really good. Like, I think if you're going on holiday, you could rip through that so quickly, because it's very clever, but also just fun and like a romantic comedy. So,
I'm glad to hear that, because I saw some coverage of that in the weekend papers, and I thought it sounded really good.
It's genuinely great.
Okay.
Because some of her other books have been quite heavy. There was Rodham, which was about what would happen if Hillary Clinton hadn't have met Bill Clinton, and she'd continued her political career without being blighted by him, which is still really good, but it was just fun to kind of read something that's a bit more lighthearted from her, I'd say. So obviously there were quite a few obits in the papers this weekend, because sadly Mary Quant, the fashion designer, died last week at the age of 93, and obviously she's most famous for inventing the miniskirt. So I thought we could talk a little bit about that now that the sun's out slightly. Yes. Maya, you're here with your incredible pins. How do we wear miniskirts now?
The shorter the better, I say. I'm in her camp.
But I feel like they're having more of a moment at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. It's like a resurgence of the miniskirt again. But I think however you feel comfortable, but I love a miniskirt with something a bit more oversized on top, and maybe a knee-high boot or a high heel. I just think that's really cool. A vintage tee or something looks cool with a miniskirt. I mean, just go for it. And like I said, shorter the better, in my opinion. Yeah.
Tights or no tights, or does it just depend?
I suppose it depends on the weather, really, and your situation. But both look pretty cool, I think. I think sheer as possible when you wear black tights with a miniskirt.
Georgina, where do you sit in the mini skirt camp?
Oh, I do love a miniskirt, but I think I'm getting to the point where I prefer them on my daughter to myself, if I'm honest. I thought, actually, with the Mary Quant coverage, I really loved seeing all the old archive photos and footage.
Yeah.
Oh, and like, could we talk about the mascara? Like, the pictures of her with that kind of Mary Quant, and it's that twiggy look where they had these kind of really sticky up spider lashes, like pulled and defined down, and then the kind of the little pixie haircuts, and just so cool. And actually, I was remembering, like, my mum was definitely walking up and down the King's Road in those days.
I love that.
And there's so many old pictures of her, and these kind of, like you're saying, the shorter the better. Yeah. I mean, barely. You wouldn't want to be going upstairs on the bus in one of those. They're just, but so gorgeous and cool. And I think that idea of liberation and miniskirts coming when suddenly the pill was available, and it just was like such a moment for women's history, wrapped up in fashion and healthcare and lots of things. And I just feel like, you know, she wasn't just fashion designer.
No,
it represented so much more than that.
For sure.
And I think the coverage did that really well.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I was with you. Like, I just loved all that older coverage, the 60s stuff. It's just such a cool look. And I think, especially at the moment, people are quite into 70s looks, aren't they? Like Daisy Jones in the 6 is definitely helping with that. But it feels like it's been a really nice celebration of everything that she's done. And
Yeah, but after Vivienne Westwood, there's just
big
names, aren't they? Big kind of holes.
Yeah, 100%, especially over here. Yeah, Vivienne Westwood's house was round the corner from our office, which I hadn't appreciated until she died. And then there were loads of floral tributes outside. But again, reading those tributes and looking at everything there, obviously this is back in January, but it was like really moving. And there's so many people. They're really tied up in London, aren't they, in their community?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed reading all those pieces.
So Heather, miniskirts?
I don't know. Like, I feel like probably not, but I could be tempted. I think if I had a longish blazer on, I'd be up for it. I probably wouldn't go bare-legged, but maybe some sheer tights with polka dots or something.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool way. Polka dots, a little bit of pattern.
I think it's just tricky as well, because I don't wear heels really, so I feel like unless you've got like the most incredible pins, it can look a bit not dumpy, but you know, it's not going to define your legs as.
Yeah, well, I have to agree. I always like a heel with a miniskirt. Yeah, it just definitely makes you feel a bit, I don't know, sexier. I guess
so many people I think can look so cool, like with like socks and loafers and a mini skirt.
That's
like
true.
Can look so cool.
I do like that look actually. Yeah, I don't think I can pull it off.
That's it. I don't think it's for me, but when I see other people pulling it off, I'm like, yes, that's a great look.
I also think the secret to a mini skirt of it looking cool or flattering is like the shape of it. Like, gone are the days of the bodycon mini skirts like that. You're asking for trouble there. I think that doesn't suit anyone.
No, I know. I used to wear those whenever they were fashionable. When I was slimmer, but even so, like, it didn't make anyone's bum look great.
I do not like seeing the photos of me wearing a bandage mini skirt. When they're a bit more, you know, A-line and
I was looking for one recently actually, because I think when you have got a long blazer, I think it does look good to just have tights and and some big chunky shoes on. But yeah, I was trying to look for a mini skirt that basically you couldn't see, but I definitely wanted something and not just the blazer and tights. But yeah, there seemed like there were lots of really good, like, slightly flared A-shaped ones out there. Is there anywhere on your radar that's doing that particularly well right now?
Reformation always make really good mini skirts, actually. But other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. My favourite one that I've got is from ASOS, and it was actually like 10 quid. And I've had it for about 5 years. I wear it every single year. But...
Yeah, no, that's good advice.
And Zara as well, I think if you're worried about kind of exposure, because all you need is a bit of a windy day in a flared mini and it's not going to end well. They do it where it's mini at the front and then the kind of skirt at the back.
Oh, nice.
Which I think for some people does just feel a little bit more
secure.
Yes.
Do you know what I see a lot of girls do on Instagram? Nadia Anya is one for doing this. She wears cycling shorts under her skirt.
Yes, yeah. But again,
quite clever,
it's quite. I've seen that at festivals, but again, I think, it's all about getting the length right, isn't it? Because otherwise they're hanging down. You don't want your
shorts peeping
out.
Then it's just like bad gym knickers. At PE class.
Rather see your thong than that, would you?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But no, a good tip if you can get the length right.
For sure.
I think.
Yeah.
Georgina, you watched something over the weekend
I
that
had
sparked conversation.
It definitely did. It really got me thinking. I was scrolling through Instagram and Elizabeth Day popped up talking about her new book, Frenemies. But it was this specific study that she referenced, and it really made me think. And I think it's also not just friends. I think it could be the same for even like colleagues in the workplace. It could be the same for family members. But basically what they did was she was talking about ambivalent friendships, and an ambivalent friendship is a friendship where you care about the person and they care about you, but you often don't really know where you stand. So they put a study done by University of Utah in 2003, put blood pressure monitors on people, and when they had an interaction with someone who they love, who loves them back, their blood pressure was stable. When they had a interaction with someone who they actively disliked, their blood pressure actually didn't spike because they knew where they stood. So again, it stayed stable. When they had an interaction with somebody who they love, but they're not really sure what they're going to get. So it might be, is that person going to be in a mood? Is that person going to ignore me today? Is that person going to be aggressive to me? Is it going to be a stressful interaction? That caused a massive spike in blood pressure. Oh, wow. And other studies since have then demonstrated that these interactions can actually damage your DNA.
Ooh. Oh.
She didn't go into any more than that, so I can't reveal any more than that. But I just thought that was so powerful, how those friends you've got in your life where, and I think everyone has them. Yeah. Maybe you've been friends for too long and you should probably have shedded them at some point or whatever reason they're around.
They might have something going on in their life that's maybe making them a bit more edgy.
Yeah, exactly.
Snappy.
Or it might be that you're friends with them because actually they're going out with someone that you're close to, so you just have to see them or whatever it may be. But that's quite powerful that you have those toxic friends and that they actually they're damaging your health. Like they're actually damaging your, not just your well-being, your mental well-being and your mood, or whether you've had a good day or not, or come off the phone feeling grumpy after you've spoken to them. They're actually damaging your health.
Yeah. I'd love to know what it means by altering your DNA. Does that actually, do you think it's more like it changes who you are as a person going forward, in the sense that you then react to different situations?
Yeah, surely. Because it surely doesn't mean DNA as in you're going to pass that on to your kids.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know, because maybe if you've got like longer protracted levels of higher cortisol, for example, in your body, is that what then has an effect?
Right.
So that's why I'd quite like to find out more. But yeah, if you needed an excuse to
cut some friends off.
I was going to say, have either of you got any advice for dealing with those slightly difficult people in your life? Like you say, Georgina, it doesn't need to be friends as in your besties per se. It could be sort of peripheral person who's part of the group.
I've actually always, my whole life, I don't really know why, I think it's perhaps inherited from my mum, to be fair, but I've always had the mindset of, like, if you aren't benefiting my life in any way, and obviously I will be as friendly and as courteous and nice to anyone that comes my way. But if it gets to the point where I feel like you really aren't benefiting my life and you're not a good friend to me, like, I've always been quite cutthroat.
Oh, really? In what sense?
In the sense that I've always had intimate groups of like a friendship circle, as opposed to being the girl at uni that knows everyone.
Yeah.
Just because I do feel like it's a waste of energy. It like drains me. It doesn't make me happy. So I've always found it quite easy to like draw the line.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because another clip I watched, apparently there is from, again, I feel like I'm her PR plugging this book, which I can't wait to read.
It's number one bestseller at the moment, so it's a topical book
so
to be discussing.
I'm not alone. But she also says that further studies have said there are the kind of the right number of friends to have, and it's not too small. And it's actually not massive. It should be a curated selection of people.
Yeah.
And that actually you could arguably be suspicious of someone who is friends with everybody at university, or somebody who is really quite a loner. There is that kind of optimum number. But going back to your question about, like, how do you get rid of
or maybe deal with
so like what I've said to especially if you're in a situation where you have to see that person and you don't have the luxury of just going, actually, I'm
like you say, it could be a family member who's married in or something like that.
I think so what I've said occasionally to my kids when they've obviously playground issues, things like this come up a lot, and I've tried it myself, is if you just you don't even need to say anything to the other person, but you mentally take a decision to distance yourself, to take a step back, to disengage, whatever that might be for you. That might be not always replying to the text straight away, or sometimes just saying, no, I can't meet you, and you don't have to give an excuse, what is it? No is a full sentence, all of that stuff. And just kind of, but not saying, I don't want to be your friend anymore because of this, and this, because that is so confrontational and not always the best way to handle it. But I think once you've sort of mentally made a decision to step back, there is quite a sense of relief in that. And often it follows that naturally a bit of distance is built. And then people do change. Like you said before, sometimes someone's going through something in their life which doesn't make them a great friend to you, but that might just be a moment in time, and then things come back round. So I think just to cut people out completely, especially if you have been good friends, can feel a bit harsh.
Yeah, for sure. I think you have to realise the situation as opposed to being very cutthroat. Because you might end up with no friends.
No, but it sounds like you maybe like you've got your small group, but maybe it took not a while for them to become like you're like choosy when they come into the group, and then when they're there sort of thing.
Definitely. It's never been a picky thing, and our friends, my friendship group from home, who now are still to this day my best friends, as relationships have evolved and boyfriends have come and go, etc., like that group has changed and people have come and gone, so it's definitely not a like this is my circle, don't enter it type thing.
No one's allowed in, it's full.
No, definitely not. I just think and obviously I've got work friends and I've got London friends and Devon friends, so that's all different, but I think just it's actually very similar to how you just described that mental note telling yourself. That's just what I've done my whole life, so that I don't waste like energy and sadness on things that don't bring me happiness. But I definitely don't go around saying I'm not friends with you because I think you're annoying and I don't like the way you react to things.
It's a trick one anyway though, isn't it? But I think all of us can probably feel similar in the sense that I don't feel I see all my closest friends as much as I'd like to anyway. So better to just focus on them and the good people in life, and just the others might fall away, or Going to ask a community question now. It is from me, just putting it out there. Basically, at the weekend, I was doing some sorting, and for the first time ever in my life, I've discovered I've got a moth problem, which I didn't realise I had. And I'm hoping, Georgina especially, you can help, because I don't actually know what to do next.
This is so funny that you have asked this question. It always feels rehearsed, because I was looking through, I'm on a road email chat, and someone posted this morning, I have a steam cleaner, which I've just used to get rid of all the moths in my house, including the carpet. Oh. Does anybody want it before I put it on eBay? I didn't know you could use steam cleaners to get rid of moths. And beyond that, my moth knowledge is limited. But how serendipitous is that?
I have got a steamer. I don't know
Is
if
that
I
the same
could.
thing?
I
I don't
know.
think if it's a
right.
steamer for your clothes.
For the clothes, maybe.
I don't think that's a steam cleaner.
Ah, okay.
But
I was just wondering if the heat might do the
Just
same
fumigate
thing.
it a bit.
Yeah. Because I'm just wondering, like, do you have to get an expert in to like clean, or are they? Is the carpets the natural place for them to be sort of infesting?
I think that where they're not disturbed, and that's the typical thing where people kind of go, oh, I'm just going to pull out all my winter jumpers now it's September, and they get them all down from the top shelf of the back of the wardrobe where it's dark and it's moth friendly, and they see that half of them have been eaten.
Oh dear.
That is not uncommon.
Yeah, if any viewers and listeners do have any tips for moths, please do go to
community.shelux.
Thanks, Maya.
And respond to Heather's thread.
Yes, there's a thread. It's called Moth SOS. And I need your help. So thanks. Thanks in advance. And then finally, we've got some lovely reader questions as well. Georgina, and perhaps you too, how do you make TVs in bedrooms work?
That's a Georgina question for sure.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to be dismissive, but I was like, it's kind of...
So if you're feeling a bit footballers' wives, I guess you get one of those beds where it comes up. Because
my friend's got one of those. I'm impressed.
Do you not feel like this though?
I don't know. I've never used one.
I don't suppose if it's a big king size bed.
TVs are really ugly.
Yeah.
And bedrooms are meant to be a place of calm. So if I could find a bed where it looked really good, and I'm sure there are some out there, I would have to do some research. I think it's quite a good solution, because who wants to look at a big black box in their lovely, serene bedroom? Most of the time. So as long and also, yes, like you say, it could feel quite close, but I guess you could get a smaller one.
It depends on the size of the television, probably.
Yeah. But you think about it being the same size as the headboard, don't you? Sort of rising up.
Yeah, exactly. So that could be one option.
Yeah.
If you're feeling less footballers' wives, what I think is a really nice solution, which I've seen lots of people do, is if you have it on the wall, and then you can either Hutley and Hum do a really nice version where they have a set of, I think it's 6 or 8 framed pictures, which then slide. So that would be on your wall, and then they're on 2 different panels that slide apart, and there is your TV. So that's hidden.
That sounds
another way to do it is if you had it in your joinery,
Yes.
and you had a sort of bank of built-in wardrobes, and you had it wall mounted somehow in there, so you could just close it and not look at it.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
Yeah, which lots of people do in kitchens and things, or even in living rooms.
Yeah, hiding toasters and things.
Yeah, and then another way to do it is if you have a beautiful canvas and you just have it on 2 runners, and you have the TV behind, and you just slide it over, just one piece. And that, if you've got someone who's really good at DIY, is probably quite manageable to do yourself. So those are 3 ideas.
No, they're really good ideas.
They are. I've taken note of it.
Yeah. Maya, one for you. Summer jacket inspiration. What are you thinking this year?
I'm really into the denim jacket again, but more oversized, vintage-esque, not the cropped style that we used to see.
Yeah.
I think you can throw those on most things. And then I know it's boring, but I am a blazer addict, so I'm pretty much wearing a blazer every day in summer, to be honest, because it's just so easy to whip on and off.
You get nice linen ones as well that are nice and thin and
colourful. Like, it's a good way to introduce colour into your wardrobe for sure, like tailored nice jackets.
I like also those kind of quilted floral jackets. I think they're really cute. If you're wearing like a nice white sundress, and then you've got some that are almost like a bomber style, a bit big, and then but like with a nice kind of Isabel Marant kind of print. I think that's a really nice summer jacket.
I feel like the bombers have taken the world by storm this year.
But you can get some really lovely, really cool ones, and they're everywhere now, aren't they?
They're all over the high street.
Actually, I do need to buy a cropped bomber, because I've got a couple very, like that sort of normal jacket length. But when I now wear quite a lot of high-waisted, like midi skirts and things like that.
Yeah, you want to...
So I want something a bit more cropped, a bit more smart. So I'm on the hunt for a nice neutral one of those, actually.
Oh, nice.
Going back to your denim jacket, longer. Me and Em have got a really nice... it's like the cargo style that everyone was wearing in khaki for the last 10 years, but it's done in a kind of wash denim with the big pockets, drawstring. It's actually really cool.
That sounds good.
So if you want to kind of make something feel more casual, That's nice.
I'm more that vibe. I think Toast have got some. They're almost like painters' jackets, aren't they? They almost look a bit like
and Suzanne do one like that as well.
Almost, where you feel you could have a few paintbrushes sticking out of pocket or something.
Exactly.
I quite like that. Workwear look. I suppose another way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then finally, somebody has asked, "What are your go-to eyebrow products?" You probably get asked this all the time, Maya.
You know what? It's changed now.
Ooh.
It used to always be, I swore by the NYX pencil, which I still do use when, I'll come to that in a minute, maybe when I get to the end of my like eyebrow care cycle. So now I actually go and get my eyebrows laminated every sort of 6 weeks, and they're dyed, threaded and laminated at the same time, and it's just a game changer. I honestly highly recommend it so much to everyone. I now don't really have to do anything with my eyebrows. The way you set them every morning is basically you have your shower and you put a tiny bit of conditioner in your eyebrows whilst you're having a shower, and then wash it off, get out the shower, get your spoolie, brush them up, and then how they dry like that is how they stay.
Because of the lamination.
Wow.
But do you need to have thick? I mean, you've obviously got
you've got to have brows, quite thick brows.
But you couldn't, because I've got much thinner brows, so it wouldn't really work.
No, I think you do have to have a good amount of hair there in the first place.
What about, would I carry it off, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think got enough.
So. You've got enough.
With tint and then the perming itself, because the tint darkens the like hair obviously, and I think that does make a big difference. And I'm naturally a mousy blonde, so I do have to dye my eyebrows for them to be that like strong brow look. But outside of that, it is definitely for me the NYX pencil.
And was that for like the sort of individual?
Yes, exactly. And then I always really, really liked Refi's brow products, but I haven't used them for a while. But I always used to like their like stick, the glue that you put on with the stick. I really liked that. Yeah.
Amazing. Georgina?
I use a Bobbi Brown eye pencil where it's double-ended, so one end has the spoolie to brush them up, and then the other end has a little bit to fill in. It's good. I've used it for a long time. And then I do sometimes use a brow serum. I feel like every time I do, within a few weeks, I really notice. And then obviously when you stop, a few weeks later, the effect stops. So I probably need to get using that again. Yeah.
When conditioner, do you just mean hair conditioner?
Yeah, hair conditioner.
Yeah, I meant to ask. Yeah.
Just a tiny little bit.
Why not?
So it softens them a bit, because they do go a bit dry. When they put the laminating cream on, you actually feel like they're putting hair remover on your eyebrows.
So either like, is this a joke?
It smells identical to hair remoul cream.
Is that like ammonia or something?
It must be, because I think it almost bleaches and then you dye. I think. I mean, so sorry, beauty therapists out there, I'm probably butchering this, but that's what it smells like. And I remember lying there for the first time at the end of last year getting them done, thinking, oh my god, I'm not going to have any eyebrows after.
Some horrible prank.
They were still there after. What about you, Heather? What do you use?
At the moment, for a while, I've been using, it's basically like Boy Brow, but the Elf version. I think it's only about £7. It lasts a long time. They've got a few more different colours. So I just use that, and just a bit of colour with the spoolie just sort of brushes it through, and that's that.
I actually think with eyebrow products, to be fair, you don't need to be going to like the designer cosmetic stands the high street do. You can literally get really good brow products for like £8.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a bit of a waste of money.
Yeah, I think they can be expensive, and also like they don't last that long, do they?
You have to buy them so frequently. But Body Shop have come out with a version of the Boy Brow, and it is also really good.
Oh, I'll give them a go. I quite like Body Shop stuff.
Yeah, they've got some really good new collections, new product lines actually.
Oh yeah, they've got a really nice face oil that I've used for a few years that I really rate as much as any other out there.
I agree. I've got some stuff from there I love. Do you know what? I also, brow-wise, have started using, you talk about a serum, I've started using Olaplex's new lash serum that they just brought out, and I'm putting that through my eyebrows at the same time to help them grow. So hopefully in 6 weeks my eyebrows will be even bigger.
We'll come back to you and ask. I won't be able to see you. Like, amazing. Thanks both of you. That was a fun one. Thanks for watching and listening. If you've got any questions, please do email us at podcast@ShowLux. We love hearing from you, and please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe and tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.